What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this one breaks down what's going on with Tesla's stock, what you should be watching for going forward. I'm also going to talk about how Tesla's deliveries are looking so far, and also what's going on with the Chinese EV numbers and what they're telling us about Tesla as well. Before I break anything down about all this information, though, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. What on earth is going on? Tesla was up 1.66% for the day on Friday, holding up quite nicely and closing above 260, which is a pretty decent sign. But the real question is, will Tesla continue to soar to the moon, or is Tesla about to get a rug pull? Looking at the numbers so far, and the numbers I told you guys yesterday, and also going into like last week, numbers are looking pretty good for Tesla. It looks very likely like Tesla's going to either meet deliveries or beat expectations. Most likely one of those two. It's very unlikely Tesla's going to miss based off what I'm seeing. But we have some more evidence to suggest this just looking at the Chinese market. But if you look at Tesla, it has a history of just beating expectations the majority of the time and growing very, very strongly as time goes on. So for that reason, Tesla tends to have very high expectations. And looking at what we're seeing, many analysts are saying some very positive things. So let's just zoom into this just for 1 second. We can see right over here, analysts and shareholders are just getting ready for tomorrow. So tomorrow, I believe around noon or sometime then, depending on where you are around the world, Tesla's going to be announcing their deliveries tomorrow morning. So please be ready for this. This is going to have a very big effect on how the share price continues to move. And this is going to be the number one factor affecting it going forward. So far, it's looking pretty good as Tesla has very strong guidance and very strong expectations. According to some data from Wall Street, they're predicting a 74% increase year over year, or as many as 445,000 deliveries, according to Investors Business Daily. That would easily put Tesla well above its 254,000 units delivered during the same quarter last year, showing immense growth in the company and continued projected increases. Now, for Q2 of 2022, Tesla was still ramping up production at gigafactories in Germany. But despite that, we're still seeing massive growth that is continuing and more growth in Europe. But one of the biggest places where Tesla gets deliveries from is going to be China. So we're going to be looking at that in just a couple of minutes. But just remember that last year, okay, we saw Tesla once again kill it as well. And then going into their top delivery of all time, we saw about 422,000 deliveries. So we're expected to break this record, and that's what we're most likely going to see, in my opinion. Piper Sandler is saying that Tesla should reach 469,000 deliveries for Q2. And other analysts are saying that it's a little bit too high of an estimate, but hey, we're not going to rule it out. The main expectation is between 440 and 450,000 deliveries for the second quarter. And I think there's a very high probability Tesla is going to either meet or beat that record. I think there's a very good chance it's going to happen. And I think Tesla has a lot of potential to do so. Based off their deliveries so far, at least during the current months, and based off what I saw in the data I showed you guys last week. Now, on top of this, other investment firms are saying that Tesla should give us 448,000. So the majority of them are expecting some very, very good numbers. Right over here, the estimate is showing that Tesla should be giving us 168,000 sales in North America, 153,000 in China, and 87,000 in Europe, and then 23,000 throughout the rest of the world. That is very possible, but just remember that we'll have to wait and see on this. But so far, we do have some Chinese numbers that came out that are looking very good. So I just want to talk about those now. Now, for the 1 year, we're forecasting 1.8 million Tesla deliveries. That is well above the 1.3 million from 2022, still showing very strong growth, which would be bullish for Tesla. But for now, let's talk about China. China has some numbers that came out that are looking very good from the EV side, and this also gives us estimates for Tesla. So first, let's talk about NIO. Actually, not NIO. I think we have Li Auto first and NIO. So Li Auto came out, another Chinese company that sells hybrid SUVs. They delivered over 32,000 deliveries, beating 30,000 for the first time, showing some strong growth. On top of that, they had 28,000 in May and 25,000 in April. Once again, their second quarter sales were up at about 86,000. Once again, beating their guidance and well above many projections. So Li Auto is very strong, doing very well, and they are projected for more growth and to beat over 40,000 deliveries in a month sometime this year. Now, that's some strong guidance, looking very good, and they're continuing to show good signs of growth as they are a Chinese EV company. Now, for NIO, NIO also saw some good growth at 10,000 deliveries. They're up from 6,000 in May and 6,000 in April. They're continuing to grow because of this. They have new SUVs coming out. They have the ES6 coming out, which has a lot of pre-orders and lots of growth. They joined the EV price war not too long ago, and things are looking very strong for them. They are expecting 20,000 deliveries sometime this year in a month, basically. Sometime this year before the year ends. They're expecting strong growth for Q2. Not Q2, sorry, for the second half of the year specifically. And they're continuing to grow quite nicely. So things are looking pretty good for them. And they did see an increase in June compared to like May and April. Then if you look at Xpeng, right, they did 8,600 deliveries in June versus 7,500 in May and 7,000 in April. So more growth from Xpeng month over month. And they did help to announce some new products, which are looking pretty good. A more, affordable EV that came out, which is good news for them. And overall, they're holding up nicely. Management is saying over 10,000 units a month sales are going to be coming out soon. So that's once again bullish news for them. And finally, last but not least, we had BYD that came out. They sold a record 240,000 EVs in May versus 210,000 in April. I don't think the numbers are out yet for them for June, but for now they're looking pretty strong. And we are seeing new data that's suggesting 500,000 new energy vehicles in China for June 1st through the 25th based off registrations and other factors like that. That is more bullish news for the Chinese EV sector and for any company involved, such as Tesla. And we're seeing a 15% increase from the same period in May of the previous year. So that's another massive amount of growth. Also, we're projected to see 30% growth for this entire year. So it says it right over here. And the sales doubled in 2022 and 2021. So there's still growth in China. It's still massive, the market over there. We're continuing to see more growth in terms of sales. And once again, with 500,000 new EV vehicles, a lot of them are going to come from Tesla. The point I'm trying to make is that the Chinese market is still strong. Every company that reported so far in deliveries for China that's very significant, every significant company from like Neo to Xpeng and etc. reported some pretty decent numbers, good numbers, beating expectations and showing some signs of growth. And there's a high probability Tesla's going to give us some strong Chinese numbers, and in my opinion, break a new record in China and break above 150,000 deliveries. Europe is also doing well from what I was seeing. I don't have enough data for the rest of the world. And North America, we just need to wait and see how this goes on this. Things are looking very good for them. And I think there's a high probability Tesla's going to end up beating expectations and give us above 440,000, either meeting or beating. There's a very, very high chance that's going to happen for Tesla. It's unlikely Tesla's going to miss, but you have to be very careful because what the share price does depends on to what degree they beat. So if Tesla just barely meets expectations and gives us like 440,000 deliveries, the share price could increase, but it may not be a crazy, crazy move to the upside compared to if they give us like 460,000, 455,000. That's going to be very, very important. So if they give us 450,000, this thing is going to start pushing very nicely, get to $300. They barely do 440,000. I mean, it could push up more, but it may not be as strong. If they do under 440,000, which I think is a little bit less likely based off expectations and what we're seeing from their registrations in China and etc., then we could see a rug pull in Tesla and Tesla come all the way down to like the lower 200s if they end up breaking below the 440,000 expectation. If they do like 430,000, 425,000, for example, it is what it is. This company has very high expectations, but we just have to live with it. So just get ready for tomorrow morning. The numbers are coming out. And just to look back at this right here, you could see deliveries growth was just very strong for them for an extended period of time. I can actually zoom out and show you. Look at this growth. It was just so strong. I think Tesla's in very good hands and the future is very bright. So get ready for tomorrow. Until then, guys, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Tesla to the moon, because the long term is still incredibly bright alongside the whole market. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next video about more companies out there. Thank you for listening. Market to the moon, Tesla to the moon, and peace out.